Hello, fire signs. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to your daily focus tarot. We have the Ten of Wands in reverse. This can talk about, a conscious change that you're making to your attitude, to your behavior. You're reprioritizing things in your life. You're trying to make it simpler. You're trying to bring back that joy. Maybe even you're delegating certain things. We have Nine of Swords, Four of Wands, and Six of Cups is the clarifiers. And the Nine of Swords, it talks about fears and anxieties getting the best of you. How they're not, they're kind of ghosts in the background. They're not actually as real and as solid as she is, or is this golden horseshoe and book here, right? So those fears and anxieties, you're getting to the point where you're saying, no, I'm not going to let them get the best of me. I'm not going to let them control my life. I want to have a happy home. I want to have joy. I want to have this feeling of peace and contentment with what I have and who I am. And you're really needing to focus on that, letting go of those fears and anxieties. Then we have Justice in the reverse, and this talks about there was some sort of imbalance, maybe even an actual injustice. Somebody was, dishonest or corrupt. It can also talk about imposter syndrome. With those fears and anxieties, imposter syndrome can really be it can be really tricky to get out of that type of thinking, and sometimes you might need help to get out of that type of thinking. But this could also be anything where you were feeling like you were rejected, like you were betrayed. If it was somebody being dishonest or corrupt, then it was a definite betrayal. But you've learned from that. You're moving on. You're opening these doors to your growth, to your expansion, to being on more solid ground. And if it was a person who was dishonest and greedy, or they were, some sort of disillusion, if it's not talking about imposter syndrome, this person was, this heartbreak that they gave you. They were trying to grow, but they were trying to grow in a materialistic way. The Seven of Cups, it talks about these unrealistic expectations, and it talks about greed. It talks about materialism, because you don't really know who you are deep inside. You don't really know, like, there's one side of you that you keep to yourself and one that you're showing to the world, and you're trying to impress people. And that goes back to the imposter syndrome also, because people will buy, fancy clothes, fancy cars, fancy houses, and then you go into their house. They never invite you in, because you go into their house and you realize they don't have furniture. They have the fancy house, but it's just a shell on the outside. It's for show. They can't afford to buy furniture for it. They can't afford to heat it. That type of thing could be going on also. And you may not have realized that was what was going on with this person. If it's another person, you thought, they had it made, and they didn't. They had these really pie in the sky sorts of ideas and ways of doing stuff, and their dishonesty, it's catching up to them. You're learning from it. Now, Ten of Swords says there's an ending to this cycle. It can also talk about a loss or a crisis. So when you're looking at having, if somebody around you was dishonest and they betrayed you and they betrayed your growth for this greediness, for these unrealistic expectations, for this appearance's sake, they could be having a loss. They could be getting in crisis. The Ten of Swords talks about this ending. And it's an ending, if it's talking about your fears and anxieties, or if you might be feeling any sort of imposter syndrome, the Ten of Swords is talking about an ending to that feeling. Really getting back to that feeling of being comfortable in your own skin, being glad for what you have, having joy in it, having joy in each day, and understanding what happened. The Ten of Swords is talking about understanding what happened. It's talking about letting go of that pain, letting go of that hurt, letting go of anything that could be unrealistic in regards to your growth. The Ten of Swords is that ending you're looking for and that beginning of a new cycle. So there's a couple different possibilities for the focus today, depending on what they meant. Have a great Tuesday. I'll see you tomorrow.